What's up, everybody? Jacob, JK Productions. So we know the Minnesota Vikings lost to the New York Giants yesterday, 31-24. Before I get into the Minnesota Vikings, I love what the New York Giants have done. Brian Daboll has established an identity there in New York, has turned around Daniel Jones, led the team in passing 301 yards, led the team in rushing with, I believe, 78 yards. Isaiah Hodgins had a great game. This receiving core of no-name guys has continued to do it over the second half of the season. And incredible run these Giants teams are having. They're going to go play the Eagles, and I would love to see them defeat the Eagles. I think eventually they are going to lose. I think the Eagles are going to take care of them next week. But I love what the Giants have done. And then you look at the polar opposite with the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings got the number 3 seed, finished 13-4, finished winning 11 one-score ball games. So they've won in some really tight matchups. They've actually flipped the script from last year where they were, I believe, last in one-score ball games and flipped that completely on its head with 11 one-score wins. And they win in a very specific manner. So far this year, it was giving the ball to Justin Jefferson as much as humanly possible. 7 catches, 47 yards. He did have a completion yesterday to Kirk Cousins on third down. And just a mind-boggling call. You have the ball 3rd and 1. You have Jefferson, you have Hawkinson, you have Dalvin Cook, and you give the ball to Justin Jefferson just to throw it back to Kirk Cousins? I don't understand that. I don't understand so many things about the Minnesota Vikings yesterday, but after watching that, they are who we thought they were. First, starting with the defense. An atrocious defense. One of the worst defenses in the league, the 30th ranked defense. Looking at some of their numbers, 31st most yards allowed per game, 31st most passing yards, 28th most points allowed. They're horrible on all aspects on the defensive side. And you're coming against, again, a no-name New York Giants receiving core. Isaiah Hodgins lights the world on fire. He's had a really good second half of the season, but nobody expects that of him. 8 catches, 105 yards, and a touchdown. Nobody expects Isaiah Hodgins to be balling out like that, especially in the playoffs. Those one-score games, how they've been winning, it works when you're in the regular season. It works when you're coming against, the Lions, the Packers in your own division, who's been struggling this year. Some other struggling teams. I know my Miami Dolphins, they beat in a one-score ball game against Teddy Bridgewater. And even at the end of the game with the Dolphins not playing well at all, had a chance to come back and win that ball game. They finish around where I actually expected them to. I said they could win 12, 13, 14 games. They finished as a number 3 seed. 49ers just edged him out on the last game of the season. They finished exactly where I expected them to. But the team at the very least, just eye test wise, man, I really expected a lot more from this team. They had nothing this year if it wasn't hammering the ball to Justin Jefferson. Dalvin Cook and Burkhardt and Greg Olsen pointed out yesterday, Dalvin Cook in this rushing attack, it's either they run straight into the line of scrimmage for a 2 or 3 yard gain or it's a home run. There was very little in between there, and hiring a bright offensive coach and changing up this offensive system, I really expected a lot from their offense. For fantasy football purposes, going into the fantasy football season, I was very high on take as many Minnesota Vikings players as possibly can because I expected this offense to be thriving under Kevin O'Connell. It just wasn't the case. A lot of that is play calling. A lot of that is Kirk Cousins. What are you doing? What are you doing? Game is on the line. You throw a check down. That's Kirk Cousins. That is just so Kirk Cousins to do. The game is on the line. 4th and 7. Your season's over. TJ Hawkinson, yes, I understand he had a good game. 10 catches, 129 yards. I understand that their connection yesterday, that was the most comfortable connection that they had. Justin Jefferson, the Giants did a great job at shutting him down, limiting his routes. 7 catches, 47 yards. You do not see that from Justin Jefferson a lot. But TJ Hawkinson was able to get open, and they had a good little flow going. But you're in man-to-man coverage, and you go underneath. Just trust your star receiver. Trust your experienced leader in Adam Thielen. Push the ball down the field. Try. And you throw it underneath a 3-yard out route to TJ Hawkinson? I can't understand that. I can't understand Kirk Cousins thinking that's the best option. And now Minnesota Vikings are out of the playoffs. And again, is exactly where, the second half of the season, how they've been playing. I predicted them to lose to the Giants in this ball game. I thought the Giants, they're playing with an edge. They feel like they're playing with house money because they have a lot of money they can spend in the offseason. They were not expected to turn this team around so quickly. Their best player, not their best player, but their most expensive player, I believe, Kenny Golladay, has played, 5% of snaps all year long? Got his first touchdown in Week 18 against the Eagles? That's what you're going against. You're at home. They have a good home field advantage. I would love to visit that stadium one day. It gets loud in there. I really enjoy their stadium as somebody who's never gone to it. You get that home crowd. You get that home field advantage. You've had a 13-4 season, and you squandered it. Kirk Cousins, you squandered it. Kevin O'Connell, I think he's a good coach, and I am in no means saying that he should be fired, but some serious questions have to be asked about what went wrong with them, and this is a question they have to ask internally amongst themselves, and what difference can they change next year. They've given Kirk Cousins a lot of money and are going to be continuing to pay Kirk Cousins a lot of money. And this is what you get from Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins very well can get you to the playoffs. He can very well win you some close games, some 1 o'clock games. He can win you some games in the Eastern time zone. But then when you come to these one-offs, these standalone games, these primetime games, these win or go home games, another instance where Kirk Cousins is not worth the money he's being paid. These next few years, there's going to be some good quarterbacks coming out of college. I wouldn't go as far to spend a number one overall pick on, or a first-round pick on them, but maybe, let's say Anthony Richardson falls into the second round. He is the complete, utter opposite of Kirk Cousins. He has so much raw talent, and I'm also a Gators fan, so I've watched a lot of him this year. He's got so much talent in a bottle waiting to explode, but it's far from perfect. It is far, far from perfect. He needs to get a good offensive coach. He needs some weapons around him to feel comfortable. He needs a good running back behind him. Sounds like Minnesota. If Anthony Richardson hits his ceiling, Anthony Richardson can be a premier quarterback in this league. He's got the arm talent. He's got the mobility. He's got a cannon of an arm. But he's loose. He's not very precise. He's not the most accurate thrower right now. Who does that sound like? A certain guy who's wearing 17 in blue for the Buffalo Bills. Kirk Cousins, another disappointing season ends with another disappointing decision from Kirk Cousins for this Minnesota Vikings team.